where I give you the news and you give me the views. We talk about trucking news, we talk about issues, and we talk about what you need to know to make decisions on what your future looks like. Tonight, we're talking about a few different things, and I'm going to be kind of all over the map with how I do it. So, kind of bear with me. I've kind of worked out a lot of the technical issues, so thankfully, we won't see a whole lot of those. But welcome, and I encourage you, if you want to become part of the show, you've got three basic ways of doing this. You can do it by calling our studio line at 860-785-3547. Call me up, bull crap with me, whatever you like to do, and give me the views on what you see me talk about here on Truckin City News. We talk about everything from the markets to the current news environment to good loads to bad loads. And tonight we're talking about a couple of different issues that I think are pretty much in our face and are pretty much working us down to the bone all the time. You know, everybody talks about the markets. How bad's this? How bad's that? How good is it? How good? You know what? There's only so many ways you could pull this through and look at it. But, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you say and what you think of it. There's a job out there. A job has to be done. There's an empty shelf somewhere, and we have the joy and the privilege of filling that shelf somehow. Okay? We are but one part of that logistics envelope, and we have to get the job done. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are naysayers, and I'll tell you, I run into them quite a bit, and I circle a lot of the drain in terms of YouTube channels, and I see a lot of negativity, and it really bothers me when I see it because you know what? I mean, negativity it does a lot for people in terms of challenging them to do more, but it also bothers me because you know what? If it's really that negative, why are you still here? Why are you still doing the business? And those people need to actually reassess what they do. And for the most part, they need to stop bothering people like me and others on YouTube that are trying to send a positive message. And for the most part, I see that happening quite a bit. And I have but one school of thought for those kind of people. And it's not just those that are negative and really, you know, trying to put us down. I was watching another YouTuber today, and he was talking earlier today about the fact that he was creating certain kinds of content and relate to um, trucking. And because of the kind of content that he's creating, he's been demonetized. And personally, where it comes to YouTube, I think that was a big mistake because the kind of content that I see this particular trucker making, I don't see it being a problem or nor a reason to demonetize. So if you're watching this show and you happen to frequent someone named Trucking Life with Sean, I want you to go to his channel and I want you to go down below to his comment section. And I want you to follow the directions he's led under there about supporting his channel. This man is a man of God. He's a great man. He talks truth about how to do the job after you leave CDL school. And the fact that YouTube has a problem monetizing his channel because he talks about God, I personally have a problem with that. And I think that YouTube needs to reassess exactly what it is they mean to do when it comes to positive influences in the trucking market, you know? And for an example, and to bolster my belief in his talking about God in trucking, I want to remind you Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose." I think Sean has been called to his purpose. His Sunday sermons prove it. And the fact that YouTube has demonetized him, I see it as appalling and I see it as a negative message. So if you have a moment, go to his channel, support him, subscribe to him, and follow him. If you want to know how about the greatest ways of looking at trucking after you leave CDL school, this man is the man to follow. And that is my message for the day. And I'm sorry it doesn't really equal what I normally do as trucking history and all those other things the way I normally start. But I was personally moved by what he told me today. And you know what? YouTube, you need to step up your game because all we're trying to do here is preach and inform and educate. And when you put down a man that speaks truth to religion and speaks truth to trucking, I see that as a personal insult. So if you're watching this broadcast, take a moment, go support him. Love that man. He's doing a great job. I want to take a second to say hello to Seven Seas Transport. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Also, Poet, our man up north. God bless you, brother. I'm glad you joined us tonight. Anybody else that's joining us on Driving with John's channel, John is on assignment and probably not going to be able to make an appearance tonight, but I want you to go to his channel and I want you to show him some love. All right. Do me a favor, just go to his channel, go down below, give him a super thanks, tell him it's for coffee, and tell him it's from Boss Man. He needs the love and support getting to where he's going. And if he's able to come on the show and thank you before the end of the show, I look forward to that moment. But he took over my show last week and he did me right. I am at 104 subscribers right now, thanks to that man. So go to his channel, show him some love, give him something to have coffee on. In the meantime, I'm bringing you tonight some discussion, as I said in the intro. You know, we have a lot of people saying, yeah, trucking's bad, trucking's good. Should we scale up? Should we scale down? What do we do? There's so much uncertainty in this market today. And you know what? I think the best way to figure out what's going on is to hear from you. I want to know from you the way you see trucking. Do you think it's time to scale up? Do you think it's time to actually think big? Or do you think it's time to just chill out? Because there's a couple of things and reasons I bring this up. Okay. I'm about to play a small segment from someone I follow. She's good on the markets. She's good on figuring out where trucking is. And she's been around for a while. She's got a number of subscribers of her own. And I like her point of view. And she put out a video the other day. She said, what is driving trucking? Supply and demand, economy, and elections. And she made a big point of talking about trucking in a way that just kind of stuck with me. And I thought, well, I want to talk about that with you guys tonight. I want to see what you think. And I want to hear from you in the audience. I like pulling issues out of news stories. Well, I didn't really think ahead and come up with a news story. This video I'm going to show you here in just a second is just as poignant to a point and an issue as it ever was. I'm in the middle of a transition right now. I'm transitioning from one company to another and one style of trucking to another. More on exactly what I'm doing in future videos. And if you want to know specifics, you can look up World of Trucking, which is another blog channel I run. I welcome you to look at that channel and some upcoming vlogs. You'll find out more about what I'm doing. But because I'm making that change, I thought, well, maybe it's time I actually get the bigger picture from the audience as well. So when it comes to supply and demand and what the trucking market is all about, let's hear from Miranda at Trucking 101, Trucking Made Successful, and let's talk about what she says.
Now, according to Forbes, consumer sentiment is now about 18% lower than it was when Joe Biden took office in 2021 and 32% lower than it was at the 2017 handoff from the Obama administration to the Trump administration. Americans' confidence in Biden's handling of the economy is the weakest faith in a president since 2008. I'm attaching all the articles down below. So, taking everything that we have talked about right now into consideration, I conclude that we are in a cluster of a situation. It's hard to tell whether the market is actually improving or whether it has to do with some other factors. Is it just temporary seasonality or is it something more? Is it the fact that the election is coming up? Is it the fact that things have got so bad in the industry that more people are leaving and kind of swinging that supply and demand pendulum more on the carrier side? So my question is to you guys, what do you think is driving the current freight market? And especially
Now, I'm going to stop it there because, I mean, that by itself is a poignant question. I mean, I've had previous shows where I asked that very question. What do you think is driving the market? What is driving you? What is driving your decisions? Do you drive for someone else? Do you own your own truck? Do you purchase a truck? Do you buy more trucks? Do you size up, scale up, as my intro suggested? Do you scale down? Um, how do you make those decisions in a market just like this? I mean, here we are in June. As Miranda pointed out a minute ago, we are faced with a November election cycle. And typically, as she may have pointed out, I don't remember, but in the video earlier on, she did point out that a lot of what happens in trucking generally waits until way after the election takes place. And some of the normalization and equalization takes place well after the election. You know, we could be December or January or the start of next year before we start seeing that uptick, you know, higher freight volumes, maybe possibly uptick in pricing. You know, I follow a lot of people on lives, and some of them lives, there are quite a few that talk about it possibly being next year before we start seeing that uptick and that creep up in rates. And that could worry a lot of people. Doesn't really worry me because you know what? The change in my job will kind of dictate what I mean by that. But, you know, at the very same time, we've got a lot to go on. But if you listen to Miranda, that's going to take a while. So let me know what you think. Tell me, what do you think is driving the market, and what do you think is driving your decisions as to what you want to do with that market? Let me visit real quick. I got somebody trying to join in backstage, but I think he's having issues with his internet. So, Gilligan brother, work it out. I'll come back to you if I see you're sticking it out for a few minutes. Um, some of my comments. Poet says, you know, some of my history in OTR is all I've ever done. I may just be able to get a job being a local gravel hauler. You know what, brother? As long as you have a job, especially in that area up north, that's a blessing. You know, I don't care how bad the economy gets. I don't care what local Trudeau politics does with everything. You need a truck to move it. So as long as you have a pulse, my friend, and you still have your wits about you, you'll have a job, I'm sure. I have no doubt about that. Um, he goes on to say, I can't afford to retire. I can't live on 1,100 a month. Yeah, I don't think anybody can. So God bless you, my friend. You know, but think about it. You know, when it comes down to the markets, I mean, if you scan the entire internet for God knows, 1,000 opinions. You're going to find just that. You're going to find 1,000 opinions. She makes a good point in her video that, you know what? A lot of people see the market declining currently. And one of the points she made earlier on that I didn't play was that, the rate at which carriers are leaving the market is quite high. And certain numbers are in the thousands. People are leaving the markets. But then, just as equally, on that same equation and that same finding, there are a number of people that are just leaving their authorities active, and they're just moving over to another company and work, and they're leaving their numbers there. So it's kind of misleading to people that track these things. And what's going on is the Bureau of Labor and Statistics is thinking that that's still an active authority, and of course it is. But at the same time, while they're leaving that active, they're actually going and working for someone else under a different capacity. So, in effect, what she's saying is we've got people leaving the market that are quote not leaving. So that's a misleading factor too, um, which may actually be happening more than we think. So um, I've said for years we have an overcapacity issue. There are others out there in the market that say we have a shortage. Let me know. Call the studio line 860-785-3547. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think we still have a shortage problem, or do you think we have still an overcapacity? And as it relates to what Miranda said a minute ago, do you really worry about whether or not it's time to scale up? Do you think the upcoming election is something that really worries you? Because I got a story coming up in a couple of minutes that may kind of change your mind if you think that the elections are what's going to really ruin trucking. Or tell me in the comments, do you think Trump is going to come in, win the election, and run trucking back to what it used to be? Or as one of my fellow uh, guys say in his intros, build trucking back better. Do you think Trump can do that? Do you think that that's where we're headed? Let me know in the comments. I want to know. Furthermore, I want to know if you're interested in sending me stories you want me to talk about. I've got 104 subscribers. So as far as I'm concerned, I've got 104 different opinions. And I've got 104 people that are willing to invest time and energy in my channel and say, hey, look this for me. I've got one coming up on Saturday. I'm going to want you to stick around to hear what it is I'm going to talk about coming up on Saturday's Frontlines. So be sure and stick around and surely talk with me about that one. That one's going to be an exciting show. I have one friend who apparently is challenged by the whole idea of Trump coming back in and building trucking back better. Boom! How's it going to you, Frank? Scott, sorry.
We're good. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad you could join me. Because speaking of Frank, he's kind of in the middle of transitioning. He's trying to get positioned so he can be part of the show. So he's with us right now, but he's just not able to chat.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, what is your take on what I've introduced so far? What do you think?
So I only listened to probably like the last 8 minutes, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I woke up from a nap, saw the notification, clicked on it, and then read a message from Driving with John, and that's how I got the link. So
Okay.
the little bit I kind of gathered from it was you were talking a little bit about the market, the fluctuation. Listen,
Yeah.
that's trucking. Like
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
if you're sitting around right now, I understand what I'm about to say is probably going to trigger some people, and I don't mean to trigger you. I really think it's a valuable lesson in what I'm about to say. If
Right.
all you're doing is sitting around complaining about everything going to crap or everything set up against you, the reality is you have no clue about this industry, and you probably shouldn't be an owner operator. And I'm saying that very bluntly because it's the truth.
Yeah.
This industry, ever since it's been started, has been up
Mhm.
and down.
It has. It
It
has. Yeah.
it follows trends in the economy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Poet
know,
even comes in and says shortage of BS, shortage of drivers is BS, retention issues are the issue. What do you think there? Do you think overall it's a retention problem, or do you think it's as he says, this whole myth about shortage? I mean, I've done countless lives, Scott. You know full well. I've done countless lives where I've said that shortage myth is BS. We are suffering right now from an overcapacity. And he hits on a good point. Retention is the issue. So
it is.
give me your 2 cents. What do you think?
Well, I agree 100% with that comment. There
Yeah.
are a lot of bad trucking companies
Mhm.
and a lot of new truck drivers actually end up working for these companies that, in my opinion, take advantage of them and exploit their naiveness. Um,
Mhm.
to where in 6 months they don't want to drive truck anymore. They're out of the industry.
Okay.
Or they've been put in a position where they're broke
Mhm.
and they're still in the industry, you know.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um,
One such person I'm probably going to be talking to on Saturday. I alluded to it just as I was bringing you on, Scott. And the gentleman to your right, whom I'm introducing, is now able to talk, I think. He's actually met with this fella, and he has an interesting story. And I'll leave it at the fact that he is new to the industry, but he's part of that quote, been taken advantage of segment of trucking. So, anyone watching this show, definitely tune in on Saturday. It's going to be an eye opening show. I look forward to it. Um, Frank, what are your thoughts on somebody being too naive to understand what it is I played earlier? Again, looking at, do I scale up? Do I make choices? Do I jump in both feet? What do I do? What do you think, Frank?
Well, I've done lease purchase. That's about as close as I've gotten, but I was naive to that from the rut on that. Luckily, it was a walk away, so I didn't have to worry about, a truck payment, all that kind of stuff. But it can be a pain whenever it comes to
Yeah,
stuff like that. And if you don't know about the industry enough, it's not a good idea to jump right gun ho into it, because
yeah,
you're gonna hurt yourself in the long run. Is the way I look at it.
yeah, yeah. And at the very least, you're going to hurt the company you work for because, I mean, naivety is only an excuse for just so long. You know, you've got to pick up and you've actually got to learn from your experiences. And if you don't, the company you're working for is going to be hurt for it. And,
Right.
that, that's kind of a reality I had to learn. When I started with Landstar, I'd already been in the industry 5 years. I had 2 years with one company, 3 years with another. So I won't say I knew it all. I won't say I was smart in every respect, but I knew enough to make smart decisions and do research. And believe it or not, I don't know, Scott, disagree with me or not. Research is probably the biggest failing anyone can do or have or suffer from when it comes to getting into trucking. Would you not agree with that? Not doing enough of research, not doing enough to cover your bases. I've
I
heard you
would
speak
agree
on
with
that.
that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
actually would agree. I was thinking, I would
yeah,
agree with that. And
yeah.
I think trucking. I made a comment. Was that last week when you were live?
Mhm.
Um, Usually when you get into trucking,
Yeah.
there's a reason behind it.
Mhm,
You have family members that might be truck drivers. You
mhm.
ran into a truck driver and talked to them for a minute.
Yeah,
I made the point back then, like, that's not enough.
yeah,
Don't watch YouTube and think you should become a truck driver. I
yeah.
can't believe I'm saying that, but you're trucking is such a, I don't know what the word is, man. It's such a weird industry to be a part of.
For
Because
lack of a better word, it's a fickle bit. I'll finish the word in hyphens, but it is a fickle animal because you know what? On one respect, you've got a lot of resources. It's a conglomerate. Conglomerate. Thank you. My wife's very smart with my words tonight. Smarter than me. It's a conglomerate, but you've got to know enough about where to find the information. Everybody can sit and tell you. In a sense, I think I started it all purposely. Trucking Life with Sean has a great channel and he has a great purpose. And one of the things he talks about is being able to show people everything the trucking schools don't show you. And just by that nature, you should be inspired to look for the information that those people that train you and introduce you into the business don't tell you. It's not just him. It's not his channel, not just his channel. Scott, you said a minute ago, don't rely on YouTube channels. But ironically, that's probably where most of the people get most of the sensible information. Now, you shouldn't rely on them, obviously, because you and I don't know it all. But, there's a lot of seasoned veterans out there with YouTube channels that actually serve new guys better than the trucking schools do. So,
you know what? Thanks for
Yeah.
making me eat my words there, because I agree
Well,
with
no, I
you
wasn't
too.
doing
Like, no,
it, but yeah.
I'm not saying that rudely. Like, I
Yeah.
just think I think you better be careful on the information that you get and retain. Put it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. I
Because
didn't do that on purpose.
everybody's experience in this industry is going to be different. Now, everything I own in
Yeah,
my personal life is because of trucking.
yeah,
I have a very love-hate relationship with this industry.
yeah. No doubt.
But I've been in it for 25 years. My entire adult life has been
Yeah.
in trucking.
Mhm.
You know, I just see the decline of this industry. And I don't know if it's the new style of truck driver or the regulations that's trying to kill an industry in my mind. But I also, like, right now, you'll hear a lot of negative about rates and things like that. And I'll be honest with you, I'm experiencing some of the best rates I have experienced in a long time. Um, I'm a glass is half full type of guy, and I think the industry in the right market is on fire right now. You just need to be part of that market.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I'm trying to set up something that I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. So if I seem distracted, it's not you, Scott. I'm setting up the story here we're going to talk about in just a second. But
Can I
hey,
make a suggestion?
go ahead.
You sure you want to play that guy's video on your channel? Not because I disagree. I like Alex, but
Yeah.
that's a big channel, man. I don't want you to
Well,
get copyright.
no, and
That's a big channel.
I'm not going to play his whole video. All I'm going to play is a short segment about the subject matter he's talking about. And I've done it before on some of my videos and have not
Okay.
had the problem. So what I plan on talking about is what's going to lead into next week's segment or on Saturday. So believe me, there's a lot of relevance to it. And I don't normally key it up that way, but I had two different screens. I had no choice. So I'm new to this whole setup thing. But what you were talking about a minute ago, I mean, it kind of interests me, but I digress to the fact that there's so many people in the industry today that really don't know enough about how to properly run their business. It's one thing to run a truck. It's one thing to be a reefer or a flatbed or a van driver or whatever. It's another entirely to understand the concept of running a business. You especially, Scott, run a lot of your vlogs on just that concept. You talk about running a business. It is a business. It is, and as you said a minute ago, it's a lifestyle. It's something that if you don't do right, will come back and bite you, you know? And, like the man down below here in the bottom of the screen, Grumpy, he's been in it 25 years. So, I mean, he's obviously learned something. He's been in it long enough. Yourself, you've been in it as long as you have. Most of your adult life, as you say. So, how do you tell people that don't know what to do to find it? I mean, that seems to be the biggest divergence I'm seeing here. The biggest problem I see is people don't know where to go. So like we're talking about what I'm showing, where do you go? How do you soak in the information and figure out what the right thing is to do, how to scale up, how to scale down, how to make that call as to what to do? What goes through your mind, Scott?
Well, I have mentorship that I lean on.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to admit that. I
Mhm.
I have I have four people that I communicate with on a very regular basis. Two that are trucking, well, three that are trucking and one that's not trucking.
Right.
Other businesses, one that I'm involved in.
Sure.
And
Right.
I I understand that I'm still learning things. You know what I mean? I
Right.
try and keep an open mind.
Mhm.
I ask questions when I ask questions. Even though I like to talk, I keep my mouth shut and I listen to the advice that's given to me, and I make determinations based on the advice that I receive, and because of experience, kind of gut feelings, you
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah. Unlike your appearances on my show, you a lot of times will challenge what I say. You'll challenge what others say on the show, which I encourage. I like, but you don't seem to be too ready to do it with your mentors. I'm curious. Why is that?
Oh, I challenge my mentors
Oh,
all
do
the
you really?
time,
Do you
all the
really?
time. I don't agree with everything they always tell me. Hence, a perfect example is the truck that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Um, I purchased a truck at the height of the market for
Hmm.
the truck market,
Right.
and I just had a conversation with one of them today, who made a
Right.
comment about me overpaying for this truck because
Right.
they wanted $120,000 for the truck that I'm in. I talked
Wow.
them down to 80,000. So I spent $80,000 on a truck that
Mm.
right now you could go out and get for $50,000.
Mhm.
Um, did I overpay? The answer in my mind is no, because when I look at something as being overpaid, I look at it as being upside down. If I could
Okay.
sell this truck right now, if I sold this truck right now, I could pay off the remainder of the note and put money in my pocket because I almost own this truck outright. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I challenge my mentors a lot. Because I'm
Kind
a
of a
truck driver,
similar,
I'm pretty stubborn.
similar situation to what I'm in. I'm in a brand new 24 Cascadia, and the way in which I'm in that truck, I don't pay for that truck. My boss pays for it. I'm a driver for that truck. I'm an owner operator, but I'm an owner operator insofar as I operate the truck and the business that I do. He pays the bills on this truck. He told me what the bills are on this truck, and I about passed out when I heard it. I don't know how this man makes any money. Not my question. It's not my business. But if it were me, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't see it. I can't see it in the market. I can't see it in the business overall. But he went ahead and did it. Now we're working at a situation where it's going to benefit him anyway. So that's coming up later. But same thing you're talking about, Scott. It's just you got to work with these people as quote mentors. They think they know more. They probably do. You might not understand it, but once you get through a situation, you finally do. So, I kind
Yeah,
of, in that vein, I kind of understand what you're talking about. Um,
and you don't have to follow blindly. I
no,
mean, I don't. I've
no,
made mistakes. I've gone
yeah,
against advice, and
yeah,
I sometimes it works out in my favor. Other times I fall right on my face, and
yeah.
it's tough pill to
If you
swallow,
don't
but it
learn,
happens.
if you don't learn something, why are you in the business? I mean, honestly, if you don't learn something, why are you in the business? Um, so, I mean, that's just that's a foregone conclusion. I've got a comment here from Midlife. It says, what regulation is killing the industry? Midlife, are you trying to get me started, my friend? I ain't even talking about regulations, brother. Anyway,
Well,
Poet goes on to say,
there's lots of regulations that are limiting and hindering the transportation industry. And if you don't know what those are, and I know Midlife's a trucker, like you're probably just trying to start. He's probably poking a bear because the whole
that's what
industry's regulated. It's
Yeah,
over
with me,
regulated.
yeah, it is. I fully agree. But with me, he's trying to poke the bear because there's been quite a few shows you may or may not have seen, Scott, where he says, "Oh, so you want more regulations?" You're just benign questions. You want more regulations. No, it's not always that, but he just does that just to get my just
He
get my
just
spirit.
likes to tickle. He just likes to tickle you, is what it is with his words.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, he does. He loves doing that. Poet goes on to say, "Fate, you've been doing it for over 50 years." Is he reading that right?
No, I'm not even 50 years old. I'm 45. I've been doing it
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you said your whole life, that's kind of what I was reading. I think he was just kind of poking fun at you.
Well, now Poet's been doing it close to that.
Yeah,
I do remember him talking about that.
My thunder, Frank. Yeah, thanks for stealing my thunder, Frank. Yeah.
Well, sometimes got to.
Yeah, you've been in it longer than most people have been alive. So yeah, but
It's a race between me and old Fate. There, he's winning so far.
So far by a slim margin. Kyle Lewis in the house. Hello. Guess what I just seen? He says, I've seen the Rolling Stones and I've been a fan since 94. Never missed a concert. Bless you, my man. I'm going to have to get by your place in Jersey. By the way, Kyle Lewis talks to us from the Blue Beacon in Bordentown, New Jersey. So if you get down through there, be sure and talk to him. Tell him Boss Man sent you.
Is that over by the Petro?
That's by the Petro right there off
Petro and Loves.
Yeah, exit 7 off the Jersey Turnpike. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can't remember what days he said he doesn't work though.
He does not work Wednesday and Thursday. Every other day he's on. So Wednesday and Thursday's off. I clearly remember that. So
good thing you did.
Any of the new ones. I don't know what he's asking, but he says look at any of those new ones. He's asking Tom. So you guys can chat that out. I don't know what he's talking about unless he's referring to regulations. As Scott said earlier, there's too many. Don't get me started. Question to ponder for yous. You're Canadian. Don't use me. Did you know that we are more regulated than airline pilots? Yes, we are. And you know what? That needs to change.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't
well,
go that
no,
far.
Well, I would say we're close. I'd say we're damn close, really. Because I mean, they're regulated in how many hours they can work. They're regulated in how much of a break they have to have between shifts. How many days consecutively they can work. They are regulated the same way we are.
They do follow a lot of the same ones that we follow. There's just a little difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, the differences are in their on-duty and off-duty statuses when they're overseas because they've got to meet with other overseas regulations too. So, but yeah, to Poet's point, yeah, I think we're just as bad, if not more than the airlines. But good point, Poet. I appreciate you bringing that up. Hey, look, we're moving on here, but I mean, in terms of the scale up, scale down, with what you know about the industry currently, Scott, I'm going to ask you if you had the opportunity to make the choice, scale up, become better, bigger, buy a truck, sell a truck, scale up, scale down. What do you think?
I just did two of those things. So I sold a truck and I'm purchasing another piece of equipment for the business. Upgrading my trailer. So
would you say you were propelled more or less on kind of the same thing that Miranda was talking about a short time ago, or would you say there was other independent thoughts going on with that?
I don't know what was said earlier.
What made you decide? That's the base question. Yeah.
the prices are right for what I want, and I have the money.
Okay.
And
Let's
I don't see what I'm doing right now ending anytime soon.
or
Um,
change it.
yeah, I'm pretty consistent with what I haul and where I go. Yeah, some
Yeah.
people would call it boring. I look at boring as I look at consistency as a good thing in trucking. If you're consistent and bored, you're probably doing something right. You know, um,
Very true. Very true. Consistency is always a major factor in success, I think. Whether you're talking about YouTube or trucking, they're both the same. Consistency, success. They're both hand in hand. Doesn't matter.
Hey, leave me
So
out of that.
what? What?
Just because I'm
Poking
not
fun.
consistent with my channel right now.
I ain't picking on you,
you are
old bro.
very consistent. You're
Yeah,
doing it
you
right
are.
now, Pitbull. You're doing it right now. You're super consistent.
Yup.
Uh,
Consistently laughing and surprising me. Say, look, I mean, when it comes down to it, there are a lot of companies that are not able to scale up. And what I'm about to show and share with you is a perfect example. And as I told you earlier, Fate, I've got a reason for doing this. So take a listen to this for a minute.
JB Hunt removed over 90,000 carriers and independent contractors from their system and is making everyone go through a recertification process, of which over 95% are being disapproved and no reason given. We can't address an issue with the approval process if we aren't being told why are we being denied recertification. So
Now, the reason I play this is because coming up this weekend, I'm
Well,
going to be talking to somebody that has been personally affected by that very story and very segment I just played.
I've been personally affected by it.
How so? I'm curious. I
He's
didn't expect
so
that.
so it wasn't through JB Hunt, but it's through another brokerage. What he's talking about right there, and stop me if I'm spoiling anything.
No, you're not.
Okay,
I think I know where you're going, but continue because I was counting
what
on this. Sense.
what he's talking about right now is a new service that's offered by a company called Highway.
Mhm.
And what a lot of brokerages are doing, because fraud is rampant, even like if you're a trucking company or an owner operator and you think you're experiencing fraud, you're not
Yeah,
even like like you're not even on the same level as these brokerages that are being fraud or
yeah,
having fraud committed against them almost every minute. So what a
right,
lot of these companies are doing is you have to go through a recertification process through Highway.
right,
And if Highway deems you unfit, the brokerage won't work with you. Now the thing is, you can get a hold of Highway and find out why at this moment you are being banned from hauling from this brokerage. And it's
right.
happened with the carrier that I'm leased onto. Um,
Okay,
due to I don't want to divulge too much, but
right. No, you're
it,
not. I
I
don't think you
if you have multiple companies, if you have a brokerage that is tied to an MC number that is, and a business name that might flag another business, you're gonna have problems. And I'm not saying it's right, but
are.
I'm
Okay.
glad that they're doing it. I'm
Number
I'm
one,
a little
you're not spoiling the upcoming story, so feel free
okay.
to continue on your story. But what I think is interesting, and the reason I stopped you is because in the last 2 weeks, I've read a great number of stories, not only in Freight Waves, but in CDL Life and a couple of other sources too, that are indicating an FMCSA and government crackdown on fraudulent carriers. It's been a big thing. And the fact that you mentioned that company, I didn't know the name until you mentioned it. Thank you. So good for you. But that clarifies a lot because now we're talking about a lot of these fraudulent companies being swept out and gotten rid of. A lot of these 3PL situations, third-party broker situations, all of that, I feel good that it's going to actually become a thing of the past and no longer forefront. Because how many times have we been dealing with load and situation where it's because it's third party, we either get delayed and paid, don't get paid, or we don't get the right information. So it's high damn time that this shit happens. Honestly, continue on, Scott.
Well, no, I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's a good. I actually think it's a good thing. And does it affect you? It does. I can't
yeah,
haul for a broker that I've hauled for before.
Yeah.
You know, until this is resolved. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like everything else in trucking, it's not resolved overnight. It takes time.
It does. It does
But
indeed.
you know, I mean, if it eliminates some fraudulent carriers, I support it.
Yep.
Because those fraudulent carriers are my competition and they're not competing on the same playing field.
No,
And
they're
it
not.
makes it impossible for me to even be a competitor in the game. So
It does. It does. It's
I
ridiculous
support it.
because I mean, there's so many people. There are so many people. Um, I'm not trying to put your situation at any level other, but it's ridiculous how so many people try to start a trucking company. They get their MC number, they get started, they get good, they get pride. I mean, they get pride heavy, thinking, "Oh, I'm the shit. I'm ready to go. I can do this." And then all of a sudden they face that reality of wall that says, "Oh, Christ, it's going to be real hard for me because I got to do this for so long." And it's, you've got to carefully watch every load you pick up, and you've limited as the load you can get. That by itself is problematic. But then you enter in the stuff you're talking about, with fraudulent brokers, people that, they'll see a new guy coming in a mile, in a second, and take advantage of it. I think, it goes a long way to actually cleaning up and making the industry a better place. I think that. So,
I agree.
yeah. How you
And
feel
I want to
about
be
that?
clear. I want to be clear. I don't operate my own MC number. I'm leased onto a carrier.
You're right. Me too.
I
Me
just
too.
okay.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I have a huge heart for those that do have their own MC number. I believe a large part of my mission here on this channel is fighting for those individuals that do have their own MC number. I've never had that experience. I've never done it, but I want to fight for you because you guys are what comprise 85% of the market. 15% is all the mega carriers, people like you and me's workforce guy. The other 85% are people like 1, 2, 3 truck MC numbers that, are trying to
don't-
make a living for their family. I think I feel good about those statistics, but I think I'm pretty close.
I don't work for a mega carrier, by the way.
You don't? Okay. Okay.
No.
But you probably don't work for somebody that only has one truck either.
No, but
No. You
it's
don't tell
a
me who it is.
small fleet.
Yeah. Small guy. Exactly. What I'm
Small
talking about are
fleet.
those people that have one truck or maybe 10 trucks. Because that's what I currently work for a guy that's got less than 10 trucks. So, I'm fighting for that small guy, the underdog.
Well, that's same as me.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy to keep your company. 7C says, honestly, trucking's hard. If what you are doing isn't working for you, pivot. Whether it's a different commodity, different trailer, season, do different stuff. Rates I see are not terrible. Thank you. I was just wanting to talk about that, but not the way you did. Thank you for making that point. I appreciate that, 7C. Poet says, hey,
7Cs will always
crew,
come in and drop some knowledge.
yes, he is. He is very smart indeed. Thank you for doing that. Mama's calling me. Supper's ready. As much as I love you guys, dude, you got to eat. Don't keep me from your dinner. I would feel bad. So eat your dinner, bud. Midlife says, how many trucks make a carrier make a carrier? Good question, Scott. What do you think? How many trucks do you have to be a mega carrier?
I think when you start handing out employee numbers, and that's how that driver is known by, is an employee number, I think you've reached mega carrier status.
All right. We've got an
That'd be
extra
my-
face on the panel. What do you think, Gilligan? What do you think makes a mega carrier a mega carrier? You got a number in mind?
I will be like him. I will have to agree with what he said. I mean, it's whenever it comes down to where the employees have numbers. There is no more need to it.
If I put a minimum on it, I'm going to say at least 100. I think you can survive and manage with less than 100, not be a mega carrier. But any more than that, sorry, you're too big. That's my. I mean, I may be wrong. I don't know. I'm not perfect. 7 C's. Come on, boss man. How can you not know who fate is leased to? I'm not going to give that personal information out. If he wants to, he can.
Well, no, everybody
back
knows I'm leased to DIY Semi, a guy on YouTube.
Well,
That's who I'm leased on to. I'm not going to talk about the carrier though. I've never
no.
mentioned the carrier name.
Well,
or
I
anything
wasn't
like
sure.
that.
I wasn't sure what direction he was traveling with that comment, but I wasn't going to make those details personal. That's between you and him. But I appreciate the point, 7 C's. That's cool.
Hey,
I'm
throw me
learning-
backstage.
Okay, I'm learning a little bit at a time. It's I don't I don't put my cards out before the hand's played. You know what I'm saying? By the way, speaking of played hands, be sure and go down and give Driving with John some love. He's on the road. He's on assignment. He's unable to be here, but I want
guy
that man
doesn't
to have
need
a
any
problem.
more support. Are you kidding? He should be giving us support. I am
Dude,
not
no,
gonna
dude.
say.
Dude,
Oh
did you
my
watch
gosh.
what he did? Did you watch what he did to my live last week?
I did.
was
I
ready to-
I caught up. I caught up on it. Yes.
I was
No,
ready.
John's a
ready
good
with,
dude.
Yeah, I was ready with the nutcracker. I was about ready to wrap around him. Boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, that was pretty slick what he did.
Hey, wait. John's with me.
Huh?
I got bunches of Johns. I'm
A
holding.
bunch of-
I got a whole load of Johns. Oh, wrong John. I'm sorry.
You're funny, Frank. You're funny.
That's great.
That's just the moment I needed, especially right before the segment where I tell you, pay him back. I'm paying him back. I swear to God. I'll tell you what. That was funny what he did last week.
I just had to jump in because he's always teasing me. So, I just had to come back with something.
Oh, 7 C's, Fate with 5K. Have you hit that 5K yet, Scott?
I
you
have.
actually hit the threshold?
I have.
All
Thank you,
righty.
7
Well,
C's.
yeah, we have to give the man a congratulations, and we have to definitely play the sound effect for him. Yes, definitely congratulations to him. I hit my 104, so you hitting your 5,000, that's a good thing. So
Yeah, it was
I
a
guess we can
goal of
blame
mine.
John for that. I guess we can blame John for that, huh?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
John
run
was
and
a
hide
big-
if I
John
ever
was a
make it
big
to
help.
100. Then
Oh no, you won't, Frank. You're gonna enjoy the heck out of it. Like I do. Well, look, guys, I appreciate the conversation. If you guys got anything to add before we suddenly dive out of here and plan next week's show, which I'm going to tell you about in a second, so don't go anywhere. No,
You mean
thought I was
Saturday
gonna
show?
end it. You thought I was going to end it. No. You guys got to stick around. Anyway, any last minute thoughts there, Scott? About
just want-
markets?
I just wish. I don't want to talk about market. It seems like we're always talking about markets. We're talking about money.
We're
I
talking
want to
about
just.
what makes it good. We're talking about what makes trucking. So that's where I want to leave this.
Trucking
So.
is, like I said before, trucking has given me everything I have in my personal life. It is a
Yeah.
love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
I think we do at times very easy job, at other times a very difficult job.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
trucking is, it becomes, as much as I don't like to say this, it actually becomes part of your identity. You're a trucker.
does.
You
It does.
take on all the stereotypical things of truck drivers. You just
You do.
do, whether you realize it or not.
And it's very stressful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to leave on is 7C's next comment, because I agree tenfold with what he says. Best vlogger on YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that as a means to bolster you, make you feel good, fluff you up, make you more than you are, because I kind of hit a nerve a couple of weeks ago when I did that very thing. All I'm going to say, Scott, is that your vlogs are very informative. The fact that you hit 5,000 on your channel is a testament to that. And whatever you're doing, friend, keep it up. I enjoy it, and I hope my vlogs on my World of Trucking channel can hold a candle to what you do. So keep it up, my friend.
Scott, I'll be honest with you. I enjoy watching your videos, especially that last one you put out. That was
Yeah.
actually very, very good. The reefer guy, I enjoyed that one. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to more.
And actually,
Thank you,
that
guys.
and part
Thank you.
2 of that I'm fixing to watch as soon as we get off this live, because it's been sitting here blasting me. Watch me. I just haven't been able to. So now that I'm back home and off my vacation, which y'all may or may not know about, now I'm gonna watch it. So
I appreciate the kind words. And 7C is, let me shout out 7C. He's been a very loyal subscriber, almost, I honestly think from like day one. So I have a lot of respect for him. I've met him. I've communicated with him. I have a lot of respect for him. I try and do stuff that I think I would want to watch.
Yeah.
Some people like it, others don't. I appreciate the comments though.
yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I do. So I mean, kudos, you're doing that. I'm hoping to. So yeah, just keep up the good work, Scott. You're doing great by his standards, and certainly can you
There's
make
the
it running
man.
350 miles a day, the animal. I don't know. What do you think he's asking about there, Scott? I don't know if that pertains to what I'm talking about.
He's
What do you think?
jealous.
Is
He's
he?
jealous. Yeah. So the animal is another owner operator, fleet owner, very,
Okay.
very, very active guy.
Okay.
Believes I'm an idiot for driving a plastic truck. Yeah. Yeah, you can make it on 350 miles a day. I did a video a while ago that I had to run 700 miles in one day, and boy, let me tell you, the comments. I realized real quickly that I'm not a super trucker. You know what I mean?
Is there some hidden duel going on here that I don't know about between you and this guy?
I shared this live out. That's I know the animal.
Okay.
Yeah, I get ripped on. And 7Cs
Okay.
is the same way. 7Cs
Yeah.
is the same way.
I could honestly keep these comments going all night. We could make an all night live out of these comments. The animal, yes, you can. He says 7Cs does. And quit that vegan crap and stop by for some brisket. Hey, I could keep this going all night. I'd love to. I do have a family to get to, and I do have a show for next week I want to make you guys well aware of. And that basically ties into what I played with Mother Trucker earlier. I have a fella that basically has a story to tell. So I'm going to ask that you patiently come back to me and this show this coming Saturday on our front lines. That show, I'm planning to have a one-on-one interview with a fella that I think has been personally affected by the very thing that Scott and I were talking about, this whole, as you put it, Scott, highway thing. I tend to ask him about that and a number of other things too as well. But if nothing else, it's going to be a very eye-opening interview and discussion with a driver that you, as an audience, you guys have never met. But I encourage you to watch it because I want everyone that watches this show and my channel to learn to be better leaving my show and leaving the channel than you were coming in. And that's what I'm going to start doing. So before I go anywhere, I just want to remind everyone in the audience once again, if you come across a story that you feel like should be told and you want everyone else to benefit from said story, by all means, leave us an email at thatstruckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. Put down Truckin' Story. Put down what you want me to know. Put the link in there. Let us know. From time to time, I look at my emails and I am inspired by the many stories I see come in through there. In
Can
the
I say
meantime,
one thing?
I was just going to ask you, Jed, anything else to add?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to take a quick minute here because this is something I'm working on.
Good.
Trying to help. I feel like I have not done a great like ambassador style deal to trucking because I stay in my thing. I'm not a very personable guy. I don't really want to talk to people, but I want to share some wisdom and advice. Listen,
Go ahead.
you're gonna go through a lot of adversity in this industry. You're gonna have many ups and downs. It doesn't matter how many times you face adversity. It matters how many times you push through that adversity. And if you need to take accountability and look in the mirror because the adversity you're facing is self-caused, you better do that. And if you don't do that, you will be like some of these people on YouTube that are failing and have ruined their families because they've been dishonest, they have not been truthful. I plead with you, like, just be honest in what you are attempting to achieve and understand that you are going to face ups and downs. You're going to feel like at times throw in the towel, and you shouldn't. You know what? Unless you're 100% broke, you shouldn't throw in the towel. You should learn from your mistakes and take the adversity and turn it against itself and make it work for you instead of feeling like you're always going uphill and everybody else is out to get you. The majority of the problem in trucking is self-created.
That
And
is.
until you take a look in the mirror and change yourself, you're never going to grow in this industry. It's always
Right.
going to be the company's fault. It's always going to be the broker's fault. And that's
Yep.
just not true.
I got two last things to add to this. Number one, 7C says it correctly. You are no idiot for having a plastic truck. It's the $50 t-shirts. I don't know what he means by that, but you know what? Plastic trucks ain't the end of the world. But that being said, you know what? Trucking's what you make of it. I think that's some great advice. And here I was waiting for you to say something like, it's now or never. We have to build back better trucking. I thought you were going to go there, but I was, you saw me smiling, But we can
Yeah.
make trucking great again.